All you wonderful people out there, and welcome to my meeting museum. Today we're going to be looking at some recent additions to the 45 RPM vinyl records collection here at the museum. You can see on 5/8/2024 I acquired these. And I did want to show you real quick. Look at that. Isn't that cool? The the bottom of the receipt says "Party on, dudes." I thought that was kind of funny. And interesting sleeve there, and the vinyl does match. So we've got Night Ranger going all the way back to 1982 with Don't Tell Me You Love Me from their first album, Dawn Patrol. And that's written by Jack Blades there on the writing credits. The B-side being the Night Ranger song itself. Where you gonna run to now, Night Ranger? And I always remember whenever I see Night Ranger, I think of Brad Gillis, because I remember when Randy Rhoads died, Ozzy Osbourne brought Brad Gillis in to do some live shows and release that Speak of the Devil live album after Diary of a Madman. So I've always kind of associated Night Ranger, Brad Gillis, and Ozzy together because of that. But Night Ranger was a very successful band in their own right. They had at least 3 really great albums. Those first 3 albums I really liked. Next up, Scorpions. Bad Boys Running Wild. And I do believe this is probably the B-side, but I prefer this song much more than the actual A-side, which was Still Loving You. Yeah, so that's a good song. It's a great ballad, but it's a ballad, you know. And Bad Boys Running Wild was a little bit more jammed up, a little more rockin'. So that's why I definitely enjoyed it more. But yeah, I believe that's probably the A-side. Next up, we've got an EMI sleeve with the vinyl that matches. And this was a really good find. I was really happy to acquire this one. George Thorogood. I've always been a big George Thorogood fan. Love George. And it's Reelin' and Rockin'. And while it is an edited version, it's not an edited version of the studio version. It is an edited version of the live version off of his live album. But still, it's specific to this 45. If you want to hear this exact edit of Reelin' and Rockin', you need to pick up this 45. And the B-side, which you notice that did say B there, but it's got a star, and the stars are usually what they were promoting, what they were pushing as the A-side. The actual B-side here is Bottom of the Sea, which again is off of the live album, so this is the live version of it. And it doesn't note it as being an edit, but I'm sure it's got a fade in, fade out, so it kind of isolates the track for the 45. But it's not a 45 specific edited or anything. Just that A-side was noted as being a specific edit. Little word, that's a word I have a little bit of trouble with. So, pardon me there. My minor speech impediment that still pops up at times. Next up, we've got Bad English. When I See You Smile. Bad English had a couple of good albums. At least the first 2 albums were really good. We're definitely talking 80s hair metal stuff here. Hair band, 1989 specifically for this song. And the B-side being a song called Rockin' Horse, which that actually makes me think more of Government Mule. You know, Warren Haynes and Rockin' Horse was a really big song for them. But that's a completely different song. It's just that a lot of times when I see titles, they make me remember other things. And while talking about these commentaries, I like to, you know, throw in what not. And next up is Forget Me Not. Again, from Bad English. It's another song off of that first album of theirs. And I believe the B-side on this one was a song called Lay Down. And, you know, it's got that silver print again that's sometimes often hard to see. So if I get them in the light just right, they really pop, and you can see them real good. But laying flat sometimes, not so much. Epic Records did that a lot. They weren't the only distributor, but that silver print, especially on a dark background, is really hard to see sometimes. Get a little wear on the label, and you can just about forget it. All right, next up, we've got a really favorite song of mine, Toto, Hold the Line. Love isn't always on time. And I paid $2 for this sucker, but it's because, it's a really good, clean looking copy. Because I'm pretty darn positive I already have a copy of Hold the Line, and I probably already filmed one and put it up on the channel. I have so much of my collection now done. I do have, in addition to the 3 stacks of new releases that I have here that I plan on filming, I've got 5 more boxes of, 3 more at least of really good stuff, a couple of disco, and I got a whole big tub of country and western that I might end up doing. If there's any interest in that, I'd appreciate you throwing some comments down below. Let me know if you've got an interest in seeing country and western 45s or not. And while we're at it, I'll just go ahead and ask for some thumbs up. They are always encouraging, cost you nothing. Throw me a thumbs up if you're enjoying what I'm doing here on the channel. Always appreciated. And of course, if you haven't already and you really like the stuff I'm doing, subscribe. It definitely will encourage me to continue doing what I've been doing. B-side here of Toto's Hold the Line is a song called Taking It Back, which is also from that first Toto album. So not aware of anything really special here, but like I said, man, that's a clean looking piece of plastic, vinyl, whatever it is. I know there's a few different materials that they have made these out of over the years. I don't really get into the specifics. I know they're not wax, even though a lot of times they were referred to by that term. Next up, we got Loverboy. Everybody's working for the weekend. And this is off of Get Lucky, which I believe was their second album. And I remember seeing Loverboy at the Texas Jam back in the, I think it was the late 70s. Might have been the early 80s. Long time ago, gotten kind of fuzzy. But yeah, they were there, and I was too. B-side of that being a song called Emotional. Alright, moving on. Sticking with some 80s. Really, most of these here are from the 80s. But this was the highest selling 38 special single ever, which I found rather surprising. I did look this up a little bit. Highest charting single for the band anyways. The original title of this song was I Never Wanted Anyone Else But You. But before it went to print and got released, it ended up getting changed to Second Chance. And this is the single version running 4 minutes and 33 seconds. So this is an exclusive edit. It's clearly marked as the A-side there. But the album version is 5 minutes and 4 seconds long. So it's about a whole 30 seconds shorter here on the 45. And the B-side was a song called Coming Down Tonight. So I love 38 Special. When you're talking about Southern rock, Molly Hatchet. I'm a big Molly Hatchet fan. Of course, I like Skynyrd. Skynyrd started it all for the most part for a lot of us. But I liked Rosington Collins. I liked Molly Hatchet. I definitely liked 38 Special. So yeah, Southern rock is definitely something that I have an affection for. And 38 Special was probably the most commercialized, most poppy of the Southern rock bands. They did a real good job of getting some songs up into the top tens. This being one of them. Well, Second Chance being one of them, not the B-side there. All right, next up, we've got the Babies, Back on My Feet Again. And I may again have had a copy of this in the past. I may have shown. I like the Babies. They did some good stuff. They were more 70s. This is 1979. I think the bulk of their career, was 70s, but they clearly ran up into the 80s, I do believe. but not having been a huge fan of the Babies. Just familiar with some of their stuff that got on the radio. And this is definitely one that I recognized, and being so clean, so nice. You know, most of these that I got here up at Black and Red on that day, um, they were really good, clean looking copies. It was much better than what you generally run across at garage sales, estate sales, and flea markets. And later on in this series of videos that I'll be making to get all these recent releases filmed and up on the channel, I'm going to have some really bad ones. I got a stack that were free at an estate sale, and I just snagged them because it had a Who one right on the very top. And I get home and I found out a lot of them, they were just cracked, broken, warped, all to heck. So some of them are not even playable. But I'm still going to film them and show the labels to you, and we'll discuss what's there because there was some good stuff there. Anyways, the B-side of this Babies is Turn Around in Tokyo. And that's off of the Union Jacks album, which was the same album that Back on My Feet Again was from. So, last one in this video. Nice orange A&M there with a Columbia disc in it. But Kenny Loggins, This Is It. Make no mistakes where you are. I'm a casual Kenny Loggins fan. He had some really good stuff. I always think of Caddyshack, and who doesn't think of Top Gun when you think of Kenny Loggins. He did some very successful movie soundtrack songs. And the B-side here being Will It Last. And of course he come out of Loggins and Messina, which you might know or may not know. Messina came out of Buffalo Springfield, which a lot of big talent came out of. So anyways, that wraps up this episode. Come on back for part 2, and we'll start off with Damned If I Do by you know who.